Hello, in this video we're looking at the Cambridge English Advanced Exam, the Reading and Use of English paper, and specifically part 8, which is the multiple matching exercise. This is the last part of the Reading and Use of English paper, and around this time you'll really start to feel the pinch. There's not much time left, you need to work quickly, but there are 10 questions that you need to attempt. Well, here is a little tip that will help you. For this task, usually you have 4 or maybe 5 paragraphs that are related. Either they are different paragraphs in one long text, or they are 4 or 5 different speakers giving their opinions about something. Here you have the 10 questions. The best way to approach this, I think, is to start by reading text A. Ignore this for the time being, just read text A. Read it carefully and then go through each one of the questions and mark everything that you think is connected with text A. As you're doing that, go back into the text and try to underline where you found the answer. Then move to text B and do the same thing. Read it. Go through, including the ones you marked for A, and then try to underline where you found it. Repeat that for C, and if you've done it well and you're running out of time, you don't need to read text D. You can just skip it entirely if there isn't the time to do it, because whatever is left should be the right answer for that section. Otherwise, it's really another one of these reading tasks. You'll have a statement here. The words from this statement won't appear directly in the text. You need to find synonymous expressions, things in the text that mean the same thing as in the question. You have to look for the opinion of the writer as well. You have to read between the lines a little bit, but there's always going to be something here that will give you the answer directly. As always, you need to be careful of distractions, where there is something here that looks like it's connected, but then it's contradicted with but or however. You need to look carefully at the language here. Maybe they say the word first, so that would be the same as initially. And we want to look for those. And the distraction might be that they give you some other ideas that came later. You need to go back to the first idea. Also, unlike the other parts of the reading test, the answers obviously aren't going to be in the same order as you would expect. So it's not going to be like 47 would be near the start of the text. It could be at the end of D even. You don't know. And that's completely different to the multiple choice reading task that you would have done before this. Okay, if you have a look in the description for this video, you'll find a link to a PDF file. We're looking at sample test 2 from that PDF, and that would be on page 26. The topic here is, why do people laugh? So take a minute now, go through that, try out the techniques that I've just outlined, and then when you're ready, come back and we'll go through together to find the answers. Okay, so let's have a look at the answers together. Now you'll expect to find either 2 or 3 answers in each section. Never any more than that. There is usually a nice even spread, but because there are 10 questions, it won't be an equal number in each part. 4 doesn't go into 10 that way. So let's start with A. And the first one that you will have found going through in sequence here would be number 50. Now number 50 comes up a little bit later. In the question it says, which section refers to someone who understands the self-perpetuating nature of laughter? And here it says, Kateria realized that only laughter is needed to stimulate laughter. So we match the someone from the text with Kateria, and this self-perpetuating nature is the laughter needing laughter. So that gives us number 50. And the other one we want here earlier in the text is number 52. Number 52 here says, which section describes laughter having a detrimental effect. Detrimental is negative. We want something specific, and it says at least 14 schools were closed and about 1,000 people afflicted. So that's the detrimental effect. Then we'd move to B. It makes sense to do B next, not C, because this is a text and there is a sequence of events in the text. So for B, the first one we find earlier in the text is number 49. The question says, which section gives reasons why understanding laughter supplies very useful insights? And here it says, learning to read laughter is particularly valuable because laughter is involuntary and hard to fake, providing uncensored, honest accounts of what people really think about each other. So that links in for the reasons why understanding laughter gives you these insights. Then a little bit later, we get number 55. 55 talks about, describes people observing themselves. And here it says, 70 student volunteers in my classes who recorded their own laughter, its time of occurrence and social circumstance. So they are doing an experiment, they observe themselves. Then we move on to part C. And the first one going down here that we want is number 47, but this is somewhere in the middle of the text. 47 says, which section comments on which person laughs within a verbal exchange. A verbal exchange is a conversation, obviously. So we want something like that. Here it says, another counterintuitive discovery was that the average speaker laughs about 46% more often than the audience. So you have a speaker and an audience in a conversation, and that's the verbal exchange. Then looking back at the start of part C, we have number 51. 51 says, which section cites a study that involved watching people without their knowledge? And at the start here, it talks about a surreptitious observation among anonymous people in public places. So here we've got two sides of that, where people don't know that they're being watched. And then towards the end of this section, we have number 53. 53 says, which section criticizes other research for failing to consider a key function of language? And here it says, analyses that focus only on audience behavior, which is a common approach, are obviously limited because they neglect the social nature of the laughing relationship. And this is the criticism that we wanted. So that brings us finally to number for D. Now, if you've got these answers, what's left will give you the result. You've got the three gaps here, and you wouldn't need to do D if you've done all of this right. Of course, it doesn't always work that simply in practice, but we can then find our answers, and in the middle we get number 48, one of those left over. 48 uses a comparison with other physical functions to support an idea. And here it says, if punctuation of speech by laughter seems unlikely, consider that breathing and coughing also punctuate speech. So these are physical functions. Breathing, coughing are physical functions. Then a little bit earlier, before that, we have number 54. The number 54, we want the section that explains laughing does not usually take precedence over speaking. And here it says, speech is dominant over laughter. So precedence and dominance are related, and that gives us our answer. And then finally, here, number 56, we have 56, which section encourages checking that a proposition is correct? Here it says, better yet, why not test my theory of punctuation by examining the placement of laughter in conversation around you? So that's where we get the answers, and you'll notice that we always have a reason for a particular answer. It's never really a mystery, it's never just guesswork. We need to find the specific language. And it really does come down to this idea of finding synonymous expressions. The text here means the same as something here. That's what this test is all about. Your knowledge of flexibility, the way that vocabulary works just as much as grammar. And that's it. That's the end of the Reading in Use of English paper. So I hope that these little videos have provided you with some ideas for going into the exam. The best thing for you to do now is to do as much practice as possible. The more practice you put in for these sort of tasks, the better you'll be, simply because the style of the questions is consistent across Cambridge papers. So if you do enough practice when you go into the exam, you'll find that you already have a sense of the answers just from the way that Cambridge works. So, thank you very much.